The history of policing has changed significantly through the eras. Initially influenced by the English style of policing, America has tried several different approaches to policing, all changing over the course of history. By reviewing the past developments of policing, we can better understand and grow to appreciate the modern policing system. Hi, my name is Daniel Hall, and I'm here to inform you about the history of policing. Early colonial America policing took shape with the start of the night watch system. 5 to 8 physically fit men were chosen one at a time for the night watch system. The watchmen, who were mere citizens of the community, did little for the community from a crime prevention aspect. Many of the duties comprised of being a watchman included lighting street lamps, running soup kitchens, and recovering lost children. Their crime prevention was minimal at best. Many of these watchmen were lazy, hiring others to take watch for them while they slept on the job. As a whole, the watchmen's reaction to criminal activity was reactionary. If criminal activity were obvious, they would not intervene until they were told to do so by the community, where modern policing is preemptive, trying to stop the crime before it even happens. A big problem that consisted during these times of the watchmen was that American cities that were expanding and growing rapidly were too big for these 5 to 8 men to enforce. A need for a larger public order and willingness to devote themselves to a job was becoming more and more prevalent. Sir Robert Peel of Britain helped reform policing and created many of the basic principles that are still used in America today. Peel, the Home Secretary of England, introduced the Metropolitan Police Act in 1892. During his efforts to reform policing, he created the first real police department. This police department was called the London Metropolitan Police Department. Peel understood that in order for the community to be safe, a team of fit and motivated individuals must work together in order to prevent crime from occurring, becoming the first preemptive watchman force. America soon followed suit, implementing its own very first police department in Philadelphia, 1833. Boston followed on its heels in 1838. During this time, the politicians had a very heavy role on policing. Politicians hired and bribed local officers as a way of maintaining their political power. In return, the officers were usually encouraged the local citizens to vote for them. This was also known as the patronage system, a system in which many bribes and favors were returned in the form of political contributions or votes. Some refer to this as the spoils system. Between 1840 and 1930, policing was rife with corruption. The Reform Age took place from 1930 to 1956. This reform was set up to try and fix the problems of the political era. Police chiefs were no longer held accountable by politicians. With political corruption in mind, it became necessary for everyone being hired to meet certain standards, thus going through a hiring process, and that is still used in today's policing. In order to become an officer, you had to meet certain standards and be able to meet certain goals, varying from the department. The professionalism movement of the police in America resulted in police agencies becoming centralized bureaucracies focused primarily on crime control. During the Reform era, a style of policing used by O.W. Wilson and August Fulmer, the police chief of Berkeley, was put into action. This style of policing was more organized and focused more on the use of modern technology. Better discretion was used as a form of police restriction and certain guidelines. This model is known as the professional model, something still practiced in modern policing. Another goal of the Reform era was to stray away from community policing. Once motorized patrols were implemented, it made policing become much more efficient. No longer needing officers to walk beats or specific paths, motorized vehicles also isolated the police officers, leaving their interactions with the citizens to a minimum, eventually leading the community to no longer respect the officers who hid behind their metal fortresses. Tensions between police and local communities began to rise again in the 60s and 70s, leading to the community era. This era was in large part due to the amount of turmoil that took place during the 60s. Many protests included the civil rights movement that went on during this time period. Although they were not all violent, many protests led to the violence and tensions that only grew from there. In 1968, the Omnibus Crime Control Act and Safe Street Act passed, which authorized funding to local police departments. The goal of this was to try and bring the local police communities together again and improve the relationships between them. During this time of mending, a crime wave hit America, which forced the police departments to take affirmative action once again, improving the relations of the community and local police by creating innovative crime prevention methods as well as a friendlier directive. Many of these methods are very effective, such as the Neighborhood Watch programs. In Dallas, Texas, a program called the Operation Heatwave is used for houses who have been plagued with larcenies or robberies. Detectives go door to door to try and gather information from the community. With this outreach program, it's bringing the community and the police department together. In recent years, policing has faced several new problems as well as opened the arms and minds to new ideas and technologies. After September 11, 2001, the emphasis of policing drifted from community outreach and into developing new expertise, including counterterrorism and surveillance. Crime mapping is one of the biggest innovations of modern-day police work. Intelligence-led policing, or IPL, is the newest form of tracking crime. It records previous crimes and compiles it all to predict future crime rate patterns. By doing this, instead of deploying random patrol units throughout the city, the departments can now target specific areas that have high crime rates. Police activity has had a drastic change through the course of history, heavily in the recent century. The change in policing throughout time has enabled a stronger force of policing. Starting as just mere watchmen, policing has evolved into a well-organized and greatly appreciated asset to the communities all around America. Sir Robert Peel of Britain attempted to reform the watchmen and led to the first real era of policemen. O.W. Wilson's model of professionalism helped shape police to make today's standards. By deterring crime, they have better ways to protect the American people. The ability to change has only brought us further as people and safer as a community. I'm Daniel Hall, and I hope I have informed you greatly on this matter.